Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of the Perception Diet, and today we have the third and final part in my series on how to become your higher self. So if you haven't watched the how to deal with the voice in your head that doesn't want you to change, part 1 and part 2, please do those first. Otherwise this will make no sense. I put the links down below, and that's that. So now that you know how to love that lizard voice that's just scared, now that you know how to look at what's not working, and like with honesty and self-honesty and acceptance, and you know how to love yourself through your emotional journey, right? Or you at least understand that the emotional journey is going to happen, you don't get to skip it, and that learning to be nice to yourself and compassionate with yourself through that journey is the medicine. Step 3 is everyone's favorite: release, relax, rest, and receive. Okay, so this is what will probably be, in the beginning, even harder than embracing your emotions. But once you get the hang of it, will be the most exceptional thing you've ever done in your entire life, okay? Learning how to rest, learning how to receive, learning how to relax. These are your natural states of being, okay? So anyone who's in like an enlightened state, anyone who's in, who's able to act from a place of love and compassion, anyone who's able to like really be a fully integrated version of themselves, is someone who no longer has resistance to who they are, who no longer has resistance to their circumstances, who no longer has resistance to life, and who no longer is in this perpetual state of fighting, okay? And so to just know that essentially the only real thing about you that isn't already being your highest self are the parts of you that are fighting, right? The parts of you that are at war with yourself, and the parts of you that are at war with your reality. And that is what's causing you pain, right? To believe that there could be something wrong with you, or to believe that there could be something wrong with your circumstances, is the foundational, painful belief, right? And so now that you're going through this process of feeling your emotions and allowing yourself to process them, and learning to be nice to yourself while you do that, and learning to love that lizard voice that's just scared all the time, and learning to identify the things that aren't in alignment with who you are, what's going to start to happen as you go through this process is you're probably going to get tired, right? Things in your life are going to disappear. You might lose friendships, you might lose job opportunities, things in your life, like you're probably going to be called into a place where things are less busy, okay? And this may be natural, this may be something you're just like naturally drawn to, like you just sort of start decluttering your schedule just naturally, or things get ripped away from you. Either way, you're probably going to notice that there's going to be a fallout. There's going to be there's going to be a stripping away, all right? And in the space that's created there, don't fill it. And this is the most important, most amazing, most spectacular thing about this journey, is life is going to then create space for you. And instead of filling that space, instead of getting all freaked out that that space is there, I want you to occupy that space, all right? Because in that space, whether that, like that, in that time, in that emotional space, in that energetic space, there's gonna be space. In that space, when you learn to just sit in that space, right? Because now you're no longer running away from your emotions, you're learning to be with your emotions. So you know that when you sit, your emotions come up, and you learn to kind of love them and be with yourself in that. And then after that, there's gonna be like a little phase where that happens, turmoil happens, it's uncomfortable, you wanna run away, but you don't. And then from there, you're gonna start to have this space where you can receive, okay? And when you're receiving, what you're gonna be receiving is a vision of who you are. You're gonna start to receive a vision for your life. You're gonna start to receive vision and guidance from your higher self, or your angels or your guides or your messages or whatever you want to believe in about who and what you are. Okay? In that sacred space of resting, of not moving forward, of not plowing ahead, of not filling your time with stuff, you're going to receive. And that's why that space is there. And sometimes this is why we get physically ill. Sometimes we literally get physically ill as your higher self's way of putting the brakes on you, right? That you stop plowing ahead, that you stop doing this, that you stop doing that, you stop being so productive, because you need that time to receive. You need that time to rest. You need that time to fortify. You need that time of seeing who you are, right? It can't be all about looking at all the things that aren't working and only that, right? Because the thing is, you can't become not something, right? You're not going to unbecome not your highest self. You see all that negative stuff? You're going to finally allow yourself to live as who you have always been, right? And as you're getting rid of all the old stuff and getting rid of, I use that term lightly, as you're processing and loving back into the light all of your emotions, as you're allowing the emotions to be the medicine, as you're allowing your self-compassion to be your medicine, as you're allowing the things in your life to get stripped away, because that's what's going to happen. Okay, I want you to understand that when you start this process and you go on this process and you really want to become your higher self, and this is already happening to you, life is going to rip out the things that aren't serving you, right? Life is going to rip out the circumstances, the relationships, the jobs, the apartments, all this stuff that isn't serving you, because what that's going to do is that's going to bring up all the thought and behavior patterns and the emotional resistance you have to life to the surface that are actually not working for you, right? To be loved, to be received, to be walked through. Your circumstances are happening to you to trigger the emotional reaction that is going to be the medicine that reminds you of who you are, okay? Your circumstances are triggering the emotions within you that are the medicine that take you on the healing journey, the transformational journey for you to remember who you are so you can live as that person, which means your life is going to fall apart over and over and over again. And this is the best thing ever. Life is going to take stuff away from you over and over and over again. You're going to get empty, you're going to get empty, you're going to get empty, you're going to get stripped, you're going to get empty. And like I say, sometimes life will just completely knock you off your feet and be like, you're sick now, you go lay in bed and do nothing, right? Stop producing, stop doing, stop chasing, stop being so hardcore about your journey, and just rest, right? Let the universe fortify you. Let the universe start to give you the vision for who you are. Let yourself start to feel the emotions that come after those big emotions, those big negative emotions, the positive emotions, right? The journey of becoming who you are is going to require a lot of rest. It's going to require a lot of receiving. It's going to require a lot of deep contemplation. It's going to require a lot of spending time feeling, right? You're feeling your emotions, you're feeling your compassion, you're feeling all this, and then you start to feel, okay, well, who am I really? And you give yourself time and space to ask these questions and then get answers, right? And this isn't going to happen without space, without rest, without time to receive, okay? And so when life starts to take stuff away from you, when life starts to create space for you in your reality, or when you start to get the urge to do that for yourself, I just don't want to hang out, right? I just don't want to do this second job. I can maybe do with a little less. I'm right, or like, right? I know a lot of you out there are in a place where you feel like life just like has you in a holding pattern, right? Like for maybe months or days or weeks or years, you feel like you've been stuck. That is because the universe is trying to teach you how to receive. It's trying to teach you how to receive that vision, to receive the knowledge, to receive the guidance before you move, so that you're moving from a place of love rather than moving from a place of fear. And you know you're moving from a place of love because you're moving towards something that feels exciting or it feels relaxing. You're not trying to get away from something you don't want. Okay? And this is the biggest blessing that life is ever going to give you, is that it stops you in your tracks with every step you try and take. That's an away from what I don't want. Okay? So this third step involves learning how that when you're in that negative place and you just want to get away from that thing, right? You're learning how to be with it. You're learning how to be with that emotion. You're learning how to love yourself in that place. You're learning all of this being still, being still, being still, don't act. So that eventually, on the other side of that, you start to have the vision of who you want to be, which is who you already are, which is your natural place, right? Everyone has a vision for who they want to be. The reason that you're watching this video is because you have an idea of who your higher self is, right? You have a vision for that. And even if you're telling yourself that you don't, you do. But even if you don't, whatever, you're going to learn to rest. You're going to learn to wait. You're going to ask, okay, who am I? Who is this higher self that I want to be? Who is this higher self that isn't in pain all the time? Who is this higher self that isn't in drama all the time? Da, 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 da. You're going to ask these questions. And then with that space, you're going to receive these answers. And you're going to want to start to make changes in your life that move you in that direction. Okay? But again, remember, you're not even moving in a direction. You're finally just allowing yourself to express what's always been there, right? The person you've always been. And so you're taking steps towards what is desired. You're taking steps towards who you know yourself to be, rather than trying to run away from the negative emotions and the negative feelings and the stuff you don't want, right? Because that life, that moving away from what you don't want, and filling your life with all distractions and making sure you're busy and making sure you're successful and making sure you're whatever, blah, 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 right? That's all distraction. And I want you to know that on the other side of it, right? When you start to fully walk as your higher self and move towards who you want to be, you're probably going to have all the success that you've wanted. You're probably going to, like, all the visions and all the dreams that you've ever had for yourself, that's where they're going to manifest, right? Not from running away from what you don't want. Not from beating yourself up, not from just like white knuckling it, not from trying to fix yourself, not from filling your schedule with all this shit, not from being busy. That's not how it's going to happen. And again, be real with yourself. Have you gotten to where you want to be? And even if you have, are you happy there? Are you joyful and ecstatic and it's satisfied? Or is it just like, ugh, I got to the mountaintop and I hate it. I still hate myself. I still hate my life. It's still not good enough. Everything I do now, I'm just afraid of losing it. Blah, 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 blah. Don't do that to yourself. Okay? Do this process. Allow it all to get stripped away. And I know it's scary. And I know it's not fun. And I know you think that you've done something wrong when that happens. But you haven't. When life takes stuff away from you, especially on this journey, it's doing so because it's ripping out the foundations for who you never were. And it's helping you to create the space to receive the being that you always have been, who can live as the being that you want to be, that can set the foundations for your life of love and compassion and accepting your reality, accepting your emotions, accepting what happens as the thing that's supposed to be happening, so that you can build on that to become the person that you want to become, so that every single circumstance for the rest of your life, none of it has to take you down ever again. You don't have to look at it and say, see, this proves that I'm bad, or this proves that I'm wrong, or this proves that I did something stupid, or blah, 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 blah. You can start to have an ecstatic experience of all of your experiences, because you know that all of them are there as a catalyst to continue to serve, to support you as being your highest self, right? So people often ask me, like, how did I learn what I know? How did I become like this? How did I start thinking like this? Da, 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 da. And my answer is, this is the answer, okay? I let myself go on the emotional journey, and I still let myself go on that emotional journey. I am kind and compassionate with myself instead of beating myself up. And I have lots of time and space where I just receive. And I learn, and I rest, and I don't push myself. And I am open to guidance, and I am open to seeing, and I ask questions, and I expect to be answered. This is why. A lot of it is because I stopped doing so much. I stopped pushing. I stopped forcing myself. And I used to be that, right? I used to be so on the self-improvement train. My life used to be filled from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep. There was no rest. There was no contemplation. There was none of it, right? And now my life is completely different. And that is why I'm on this path at all. right? That's why I can even make these videos, because I spend a lot of time resting and receiving and not pushing. And so then when I'm inspired, I'm excited, or I'm relaxed, right? And then when I'm not inspired, I don't do it. I don't do stuff, right? I rest. And I'm still being taught through the medicine of of my emotions, and through the medicine of fatigue, and through the medicine of slow down, because I think it's even more right now, right? And especially when you're integrating, especially when you're downloading new information and you're having all these clearings and having all this stuff happen to you, which is what's going to be happening to you on this path, you need the rest. Your physical body needs the rest in order to like align with the new vibration. It's all of this. It's everything is right, okay? So just don't doubt the process. Start to trust the process. Start to trust yourself. Rest. Let things get taken away. Ask questions and receive, okay? Rest and receive. And know that all of this is going to be happening simultaneously. All of the steps of this are going to be all taking place at once. It's not like you're going to have the lizard thing, and then you're going to have this like phase where you just acknowledge everything is wrong, and then you're going to have a phase of emotional awakening, and then you're going to have a phase of rest. It's going to all be happening at the same time, right? It's going to be all this big tornado cyclone of everything coming up, and feeling everything and loving it, and then resting, and then compassion, and then thinking you're over it, and then you're not over it, and then, you know, being held, and then an opportunity comes, and then it's all going to be happening at once. But just know that this is the process that's taking place. So allow yourself to go on it. But just allow yourself to rest. And if you don't know how to rest, say, I don't know how to rest. I don't know how to rest. I don't know how to do this, right? And it'll happen to you. So just surrender, surrender, surrender. Admit you don't know how to surrender, and then surrender, okay? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. You already are your highest self. Everything that's being ripped away from you is everything that was never you to begin with. Everything that's coming up is there to set you free. So let it happen. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Find me on Facebook, Perception Trainers. Find me on Instagram, Ali_Perception Trainers. And I'll see you in the next video.